I didn't have to wait almost 500 days this time. Welcome, everyone. It is build day again, and today we are building the RAMA Thermal, the Wilba Thermal, the Wilba Thermal built by the RAMA Foundry. This keyboard. It is my first HHKB. I bought it from a friend who used it and decided they no longer wanted it. They used it in the boardwalk layout though, so the HHKB-ness of it actually has not been used yet. This is going to be in the milk colorway. Let's crack this open here. I want to say I put all the boardwalk parts into this box. Oh no, I was wrong. So we got our little bag of parts, screws, goodies, all that kind of stuff. We've got a paper build guide. Pretty cool. We've got the digital one open off screen here. Boy, I was really wrong. Yep, there is our PCB, which I have already tested in a RAMA branded ESD safe bag. Got our JST cable and daughter board back there. Really, really cool branding on this PCB. I love the thermal logo, very cool. Obviously, Wilba.Tech designed keyboard, so Wilba logo next to the RAMA one there. And then, oh yeah, okay, so this is the boardwalk. They have a carbon fiber plate they got for it. And then aluminum or steel, I don't actually remember, on a boardwalk PCB with some Zelios I probably won't use because linear gang. But it's an ortho layout designed to go in an HHKB, so I might try this at some point. Not why I bought the keyboard. I bought it because it is milk and a milk colored and a keyboard I had missed in group buy and had regretted missing. So nice to have a friend selling something that you wanted. So, and look at the packaging again, very similar to the U80 I just built. Kind of got the metallic. It's not embossed. I always forget the word for this, but it's like it's not a decal, it's not a sticker. There's a word for this process where you kind of put like metallic. It's kind of like gold leaf. Almost. There's a word for it, though it's more generic. So that's what the back of the keyboard looks like. You know, thermal vents, Wilba's logo, and yeah, there you go. So I guess this is the Foundry Thermal designed by Wilba. That's what, I don't know what to call this keyboard anymore, but yeah, the Thermal. So yeah, I opened this plate to inspect it, but I don't think it was ever used in HHKB layout. This plate weighs absolutely nothing. It is the beam color, which is kind of like a mirrored silver. You can see the leaf spring cuts all around the edge. This is a very bouncy keyboard and looks just fantastic, but weighs, yeah, absolutely nothing. And then the main attraction here is the beautiful and pretty well fitting in its box chassis of the Thermal. I apologize for any additional background noise today. It is warm enough that my AC is on. So if you hear that, it is keeping me comfortable. The absolutely gorgeous, talking while the paper's crumpling, the absolutely gorgeous milk thermal housing. Look at this thing. Just absolutely stunning. The black screws there are what hold the daughter board in. I don't think they come like that. But again, this is secondhand, so the packaging experience may not be exactly what anyone would be. Yeah, just look at that thing. The embossed logo is just excellent. My neighbor just sneezed. You might have heard that. Yeah, man. This is cool. I've been wanting to try an HHKB for a while. I actually have two more in various stages of group buy. And then my friend posted this for sale. And I was like, well, okay, yeah. When you regret not buying something for that long and then you get the option to get it, and not only that, get it in the color you want, that's pretty great. So what are we going to pair this with in terms of switches and keycaps? I'm glad you asked, audience. Me, I asked myself. We are going to be putting on Duroc V2 stabilizers, shock and surprise, plastic on plastic interfaces lubed with Krytox 205 grade 0, wires lubed with XHTBDZ Krytox lubricant, the white marshmallow fluffy stuff. And then for switches, we're going to be using the JWK NovelKeys Milkshake switches, which come pre-lubed. I've been wanting to try these switches for a long time because I like JWK linears. I like JWK linears, well, that's hard to say, generally speaking. And I've heard the Silk series is quite good. These switches are also just adorable, so that's great. But it is very apropos timing because Cherry Milkshake and PBT Milkshake have just shipped. So we are going to be putting Milkshake switches with Milkshake keycaps. So these are going to be adorable, and these are just all blacked out. You know, it's kind of like when someone very preppy or straight-laced has a goth partner, and it's kind of a weird partnership, but it works. So that's what we're going to be using. I've got a number of other kits of this just off screen. I got the weirdo base for this. I opened these and inspected them yesterday. They look fantastic. I'm very excited to have Milkshake in my life, so I figured like it was a good time to use the Silk Milkshake switches, both to evaluate their performance as a pre-lubed switch, and that they match the keycaps. Can't really beat that. So it's going to be a thermal milkshake, because it's a thermal in the milk colorway, and we're using Milkshake. Yeah, all right, makes me happy. Whatever. So let's build. Let's get right into it. This keyboard goes together very easily. There are very few parts to this because the mounting system is built in to the plate. So that removes a lot of the complexity right there. Step one is test your PCB. That's not in the build guide. It should be. Step one is test your PCB. I already did. We're good to go. Let's just take a moment to appreciate the beautiful red solder mask on that and the just really cool branding. I love the thermal logo. That is so very cool. You will notice the PCB has spots for corner switches, a full 60% layout. I'm using the HHKB case though, so won't be using those. Non-zero chance I accidentally still put switches in those spots, but they are not going to be used in my build. And on the back here we got our controller, reset switch, JST connector, all that good stuff. And it is obviously the hot swap version as well. If it was the soldered PCB, I would probably go with a switch I know better. But since it's hot swap and it's thematically appropriate, we get to try some fun stuff. So that's great. It's my first HHKB, first time using the Silk switches. Yeah, gonna be good stuff. So, shock and surprise, we need to mount some stabilizers. I should say mount and test some stabilizers. Always test your stabilizers. HHKB uses hilariously few stabilizers. You need a 7U for the space, and then your left shift and your return needed, because right shift is split and backspace is split as well. So pretty easy peasy. I am going to clip in the first stabilizer here to show you how that works, and then I will time lapse through the remaining ones because it is not an interesting process. So with screw-in stabilizers, you see how that hole is smaller than that one? On screw-in stabilizers, one side clips in, which is the side with the wire, and one side screws in, which is this side right here. The clip-in side goes in the bigger hole. The screw-in side goes through the smaller hole. You just sort of clip it into place. It should sit nice and flat on the PCB like it is there. And you can see the clips coming through the back of the PCB. And then you put your screws in. Doing this mirrored while looking up at a display is very hard. Then you just put your screws in through the back. And there's your mounted stabilizers. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. I'm going to get the JST out of the way here first, actually. It's just going to be flopping around. I'm going to screw in those and I will be right back with you. All right, and as promised, that went pretty quickly. I just want to take a moment to appreciate the black and red aesthetic here between my tools and the stabs and the PCB. Big fan of that. That looks great. How nice of a match is that? I think it's pretty cool. Happy little matching accidents. So next up is testing our stabilizers. We need a couple switches. The Milkshake switches bring an interesting problem to my life, which is I want them to look random, but humans are bad at making truly random looking patterns. So yeah, that's gonna be fun for my pickiness to look at. I have just picked all green switches for these. How about that? Speaking of humans being bad at such things, I always do this. What is going to be my most accessible set of keycaps? I guess honestly probably the cherry ones. So I'm going to open these off screen. Some really hot unboxing action going on off camera here. I think the right end of the spacebar might be ticking just a, gosh dang it. BDZ gets everywhere. Might be ticking just a little bit. Oh my gosh, it's already all over. How? Because I get too much on the wires. I know why it happens. Not actually looking for feedback, I'm just annoyed. Got some on the PCB, goodness gracious, Ian. There's not even a stabilizer over there. Okay, so how does one quickly add more BDZ to a stabilizer with a little blunt nose syringe, just like that. Zoom in here. Not that that helped at all looking at the monitor, but you know, what are you gonna do? I'm going to pick up the stabilizer with my finger. I'm going to kind of twist it to one side to create a big gap between the wire and the housing. I'm going to get my syringe tip as far in there as I can. I'm going to dispense just a very small amount. It's easy to overdo it with the BDZ because of how thick it is. I'm going to do it to the other side of the wire. Kind of go in the corners so it gets a little underneath, a little to the side. Try and maximize your coverage, and you don't need to put on much because BDZ gets everywhere anyway. It sticks to everything. Oh boy, all right. Try that one more time here. Oh. Fortunately, these keycaps are white, so if I get BDZ on the keycaps, it won't show up in the video. Hacks. I think we're pretty good now. I'm gonna call that good for now, at least. If I need to fix it before I film the sound tests, I will. Stuff. We'll just put those on top of the keycap box for the moment. Goodness gracious, the keycaps so tight. It's amazing the switches are staying, and it's actually really impressive. Oh dang, the switches are really staying in. Oh my god, I got BDZ on my thumb. It's everywhere. It's like glitter. Easier to wash off though. Actually, I will take BDZ over glitter any day. Because it actually consistently comes off you, whereas glitter is with you until you die. Okay, next up are getting the switches out of the way. And then next up are the standoffs that go between the plate and the PCB. You can see these earmarked locations here where those standoffs go. Try and dip into our little parts baggie here. So these are, I didn't go through the parts maybe. These are the case screws. The plate actually makes the keyboard slightly thicker. Where this seam is, the plate goes in there and it covers the whole thing, so you kind of see it like through the fins, which is really cool. So all that to say, it actually ships with temporary screws in it. These screws in this baggie are the permanent screws that hold it shut. RAMA stickers. Ooh, these are cool. I don't have this design. That's kind of neat. Goes up to the side. A RAMA 1.5 meter USB A to C cable, standard with their stuff. And then another bag of stuff. These are our standoffs and other screws, along with one of their hex keys, or Torx keys, because RAMA actually uses Torx, which is fantastic in my opinion. Torx is a much better fastener than hex head fasteners. It looks like my buddy may have accidentally kept one of the Allen wrenches, but that's, no, not Allen wrenches, Torx wrenches. But that's fine because I have them from my U80. And then we have the Sequence 1 version of the RAMA switch puller, which cute, works pretty well and is very low profile, which is good for a lot of boards, but kind of sucks because there's these holes right where the force goes through the tip. So I think this pair actually is kind of bent outward. They bend super duper easily. The Sequence 2 ones are made of a much thicker metal and have a nice soya powder coat on them and move the XO up here so your load path is as stiff as can be while still being quite thin. So little details of things that make them better. Not that the yellow switch puller is like terribly bad, but if you have a tight plate, it's kind of a chore to remove switches with it. So now we need our M2x3 looks like socket head screws. As I showed in the U80 build, RAMA laser engraves their freaking hardware, which, say what you will, I think is a cool detail. I'm certainly gonna digitally zoom in to show that. So when they say use the M2x3 screws, you can actually verify you have the right one. T10 drive, that's an M2x3, so I'm looking for more of those. M2x3. Are you an M2x3? Ah, you're an M2x4. Get out of here. You're not what I need at this moment. There's a life lesson in there. M2x3. M2x3. How many in my hand? 4. I need 2 more. So there are 6 standoffs. That looks like an M2x3 if I've ever seen one. Oh boy, that's small. M2x3. M2x3. Cool beans. So I'm gonna move those out of the tray. And then we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 standoffs. Fantastic. So that's our little crew of fasteners there. This is going to be small, so let's zoom in. We're going to be using those, and they are M10 drive, T10, gosh dang it, T10 drive. So we will use the T10 Torx tool to fasten those in. So you see that black circle pretty much dead center on the screen there. What you're going to do is you're going to hold your little threaded standoff, just like a thick washer really that's threaded all the way through, up against, or you're gonna put your screw through the back, hold it with your fingers, and your screw is sticking out of that black hole, and then you can fasten it on in. And that's attached just like that. You can see it sticking up there. That'll take up the distance between the plate and the PCB. Pretty cool. Okay, and next step is to do the other side of the equation here, which is, so you can see on this side of the plate, It's gonna be real hard because it's a mirror. There's just those flat holes. If you flip it over into the proper orientation, you can see there's kind of that, what they call a countersink around it. Wow, that's really hard to film as a mirror. Basically, it's like a cone. So that way, these countersunk screws that also have, oh boy. There we go, that also have cone-shaped heads like that, will sit flat against the plate. So, and those are also M2x3. Are these not lasered? Come on, Rama. They're not, for shame. I guess they're visible too, so. No, I guess the other ones are visible. So we're gonna set the plate over the PCB, just like that. We're gonna take our smaller drive here, which is a T6. We are going to put in one of our screws lightly. So I'm gonna get it like finger tight, then I'm gonna back off just a little bit. And what I'm gonna do is wow, this is hard to look at, it's so reflective. Is I'm gonna go around and I'm just gonna finger tight and then lightly back off of all of them. I don't want to over constrain the position of the plate, but I wanna get all of the screws close because that will start to get the plate aligned to where it should be. Whereas if I like lock down, two of the screws on this side or something, this end might be slightly misaligned. So I wanna gently work the plate into place over the PCB. And then, as usual, I'm gonna go a little bit out of order. Before I completely lock down the screws, I'm gonna put a switch in each corner of the plate. So that everything kind of is in agreement on the position of the plate. That screw is not wanting to take the Torx bit. There we go. Oh boy. No, still not liking the Torx bit. Come on, bud. You do two things. You screw and you unscrew. And you're not, and you're not doing the first part very well. You are embarrassing me. We are on camera right now. Oh boy. Wow, that one is really not liking accepting the tool. Come on, buddy. There we go. Goodness gracious. That may have been partly user error, but the first 4 went fine. There we go. Last one. So I've got all the screws just lightly. And the PCB can still shift just a little bit against the plate, which is exactly the state I want to be in. And I'm going to grab 2 switches. I'm not going to look. When I grab them, I hope I get 2 different colors. Ugh, I got blue and purple. This randomness thing is totally going to bother me. And we're going to put in our escape key. I'm going to check to make sure my pins are straight because I didn't lube these. I haven't looked at all of these switches yet. And not in the bottom right corner. Ian, you said that earlier. Just like that. So now these switches are holding the plate correctly in rotation, which is great. And now we can go around and tighten down the screws. And we should be as close to in agreement as possible. I'm sure I am talking like micro alignment at this, man, that screw is not happy. I'm sure I'm talking like micro levels of alignment at this point. And probably being far pickier than I need to be, but I figure if you can do something right, why not do it right? Or as right as possible, I suppose. And there we go. Let me grab the microfiber here and try and get some of these fingerprints off. I'm about to touch the plate a whole bunch while I am putting switches in. And there are some light scuffs on the plate already, as it is secondhand, which might be kind of freeing. Who knows? Maybe I won't feel as precious with this one. Whereas like when I get like a new mode keyboard or something and it's shiny on the bottom, I want to baby it so I can take pictures of it, Oh, and speaking of, as I was recording this on April 9th, 2020, the mode Sonnet configurator's up. Mode design 75% keyboard, and shock and surprise, I've picked a configuration with a shiny bottom on it, so yay! Those orders go live in 15 days or so. So I'm looking forward to that keyboard. I've wanted a nice 75% for a long time. No shade against my LCK 75, just out of frame here, but I wouldn't call it a premium keyboard. Whereas the Mode Sonnet is certainly going to be a premium board. So there we go. I'm going to snap in the rest of the switches here. So says the build guide, and I will see you on the other side. All said, I got a lot of greens and purples in my set of silk switches. All said, I'm pretty happy with the pseudo randomness of that. I think that is a pretty good random appearing distribution of the switch colors. So that is great. So I'm going to grab my JST here, pop open VIA, and test and make sure I didn't crumple any legs or anything. I definitely did crumple one switch. I pulled it back out and fixed it because I heard it. I crumpled the legs on it so badly. So we're gonna plug that in. We're gonna get VIA opened up here. Unplug the LCK. I'm gonna plug in this PCB. You can see all the colors coming through the slots there. Matrix and sounds. Oh, I'm just like totally missing a switch. Right there. I don't know what I was thinking there. That's not right. I have a yellow would fit there nicely. That'll work. Goodness gracious, Ian. This is why you test your switches. It's all good. Excellent. All checked out. I cannot tell you how many times I wanted to put switches in these while I was putting all the switches in. It was very annoying. My hand kept like going that direction. It's like, no. No switches in the corners. We're in HHKB town now. And you know what else is great to do when you get an HHKB is to get a keycap set with weird legends on it. That'll make the learning process just so easy. So, speaking of keycaps, it recommends putting the keycaps on last. I think I'm gonna put them on now. The reason being, these leaf springs that make up the edges of the plate, because there's like an inner rectangle where all the switches are. Then there's 2 layers of leaf springs between that rectangle and the outer mounting rectangle. This is a pretty thin piece of metal that can bend. There are even warnings in the build guide to like check and make sure your plate is straight. Because it can bend, because it's a thin piece of metal, you know, the logic holds. My whole PCB plate sandwich here is just a little bit warped, but that's not uncommon, and the chassis will take that up. All that to say though, I don't want to mount this thing in the chassis then be pressing down like really stiff new keycaps on it. So I'm gonna quick wipe off the edges of the plate I just manhandled, because those will be visible through the fins and harder to clean. It's there through the fins. Just gonna wipe down the plate. Whereas if I put in the keycaps now, all the force will be going through the PCB into my table, which is significantly more ideal of a load path. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna look at the rest of the build guide here, which all seems to be preparing or mounting into the chassis. Well, now that being said, actually you do screw this into the top case first. So here's what we're gonna do. We are gonna go on with preparing the chassis. Some of this will already be done because again, it's a second-hand board. But we are going to open up this bad boy. That is a big Phillips head. Is my fine here one oh yeah, it goes in there real nice. Okay, so we're gonna open this up. Now we're gonna have a bunch of Phillips head screws here. I'm gonna let them fall onto my soldering mat. That's what we're gonna do. Hopefully they don't all just, okay, they didn't bounce all over the place, but they didn't stay on soldering mat. Okay, and so actually putting on these little foam pads here was the next step. So that's all done, which is great. The reason these are here is because the plate bolts to this top case, so that stops, I imagine, any buzzing from occurring to give them just a little space from the top, which is fantastic. So that is set to go. Looking through the build guide here, next up is attaching to this, which we are going to do. And then mounting the daughter board and then closing it back up. Cool, let's mount the daughter board as long as we have this piece in front of us. Let me verify. Yep, M2x4. So that means all the fasteners in this thing except for the case fasteners are M2. That's great, I love that. The case fasteners are M3. M2 is probably a little skinny for holding a chassis together. I bet you could do it. You probably don't want to though. It's like a little bit beefier, making up that interface. This is a very deep pocket for the circuit board. This might be a little tricky. Also, doing everything on camera is just also automatically harder. Well, okay, that actually went in pretty easy. I just got it finger tight and then backed off, so I can scooch the daughter board around. To align it, I'm gonna put in, instead of the 2 corner screws, the 2 screws nearest the port, because those are the hardest to put in. And then I can also bias against them and make sure the port is as close to the outside of the chassis as possible. It gives me 2 solid reference points. I think that should be good. 1 and 2, nice and tight. And then you can see off to the left here, there's this channel that the JST cable sits in. The trickiest part of assembling this keyboard is making sure the JST stays in that channel, because if it jumps out of that channel, it actually won't allow the plate to bounce, because it'll take up all the space underneath the plate, and it won't flex, which is no good. Don't want that. So those are all nice and tight. JST cable's nicely in there. Yes, and then just nests in there like that. You just have to make sure it stays in there until you screw it together, and then it'll be fine. Sorry about that. Got interrupted. Anyway, so daughter board bolted in. JST needs to stay in that channel or the keyboard won't have its signature bounce. So we're actually done with that for the moment. Now it is time to screw in the top assembly here. So we've got these 4 screw points here in the corners where the plate screws in, and there's 4 matching pockets in the bottom case where the heads of the screws, that's not gonna focus, Ian. You should be smarter than this by now. There we go. Where the heads of the screws can sit in, so the whole thing comes together looking nice and flush. Do the same, and back it off just a little. Now I've got all 4 corners supported. I'm just gonna kind of feel with my fingers around the edge, make sure these are nice and aligned so the plate isn't protruding on one side of the board or anything. I think it feels like we're in good shape here. Ooh. And then we're just gonna tighten these back down for realsies. And then all around the edge of the PCB, you might notice there are additional holes and cutouts. That is where the case screws pass through the plate. They don't touch the plate, they just pass through the plate. That's also where those pour-on pads are, so that the plate doesn't buzz against the top case. I assume that's why they're there, at least. If I had designed this keyboard, that's why I would have put them there, I should say. So let's get that out of the way. Our only screws left should be our case screws, which is factual, excellent. Get all those out of the way, and it is time for keycaps. That's pretty handsome, look at that. The HHKB is a very aesthetically pleasing layout. It is very symmetrical. What I found funny about this plate is that it has the 60% holes. It also has a spot for a stepped caps, which doesn't exist on the thermal, because that's also control. I guess depending on your OS, I'll be using it as a control key because there's no normal control key. And it does support full backspace, but there's no support on that, on this either. Funny remnants of other options. It's like when there's like a plastic cover on like where a button would be in a car, because like, you know, if you'd bought, you know, the Trailblazer Deluxe package or whatever, there's like a button there that does something to your traction control. I don't know. Just kind of funny seeing how design decisions get made. That kind of stuff is very interesting to me. So, keycaps. Let's actually get those out of the way. I have a large number of kits here for this. So what I actually might do is start with the auxiliary kits, see what I want to use out of those, and then loop back around to the main kit. Because I don't want to like put on the, you know, the white return key and then discover, oh, there's a fun, colorful return key in this other one. So we've got the fruit kit, which I'm considering using for my numero. There's not a lot of place to use novelty keys on the HHKB layout, so we will come back to this. I don't know, I want to use those, I just don't know where I will use them. Nomad is like 40% and stuff. I don't think any of that will apply here, but let's take a peek together. Let's see what might be logical. We do have a colorful HHKB sized backspace. I think there might already be one of those in the main kit though. You know what I should do is I should just pull up the page for these. So I can just look at the kitting without opening every single one of these boxes. Okay, so Weirdo's base. Oh, that's not a backspace, that's a return key. Okay, dummy. That's a backspace / delete icon. Yeah. Nomad. Yeah, I think this is really only 40%. That might be the function key we end up using, possibly, if it's not one of the other representative kits. Oh, there's yellow shifts in that one. I'm probably not going to use yellow shifts though, because our yellow backspace is going to be, on a yellow switch. That's fun that ended up that way. Okay, so I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go into the add-on kit, because that's the one that has the Mac OS specific keys. So we're going to skip Nomad for now. These boxes are very annoying to close. Add-on, next one down in the stack. Space bars, we're not gonna need space bars, so we can just get that out of the way right now. We have the space bar we need in the base kit. So let's get these out of here. Or get this open here, rather. I know how to talk. I do it all the time. So we are gonna be using the 1.5U command keys. So we can mount those. We're going to be using 1U alt keys, which are in the base. So we're good there. We're going to be using the 1.75U control key as a replacement for that. We're not going to use the yellow shifts because we're going to have a yellow backspace here. And I think that's a lot of yellow, which it already is not a color I'm a huge fan of. So we're actually done with this kit. That's great. That out of here. And we're already back to the base kit. Okay, well, that was short-lived. That's fine. So I do want my white shift. Oh, and these white shades white aluminum and the white plastic look real good together. Big fan of that. Return key. I think there's a green return key. Yes, so we're not gonna use white return, that's fine. We're gonna use white space. There's no color space bars as far as I know. Not sure I would want a single block of color that large in my layout anyway. Great. We can put back that one. Get out of the way. We're kind of going to work backwards through the trays here so we can get all the fun stuff and then fill in all the gaps. We are going to want the fun escape key, which is pink. So we can put on the fun escape key. We want the yellow HHKB / just normal split backspace. We want the green return key, which is going on a green switch. That's fun. Also didn't mean to do that. I like coincidences though. Alts, we need our 2 1U alt keys. Here and here. And then, oh, we actually have a, nope, that looks like a menu key, but it's not a menu key, that's an F, because these are the Weirdos Legends. I thought that was a menu key for a second, or a function key of some type. We're gonna need one of those, but that is not that. Again, great time to use a new keyboard layout. It's not keycaps with stupid legends on them. They're great legends, they're not stupid legends. Let's see, what is the glyph in Milkshake land for function? I need an R4 1U function key. Does not look like I'm going to get one of those in the, oh no, actually that could be a function key. It's kind of hard to tell what some of these glyphs are. I guess it's, it's up to you, all said, what the glyphs mean when they're this vague, but I do have, yeah, I like the one out of the Nomad set better. Yep, okay, cool. So we're gonna call done with that tray. Let's see, none of this, actually, looking at it. Oh, this is weird. Oh, you know what, I do need an R4 / though. That'll go there. Yep, I will need that. That'll be tilde, numbers and all that, tab, normal alphas, one of the shorter shifts. Oh, I think that's actually in the tray below here. I should have grabbed that. And then I think I'm gonna use that function key out of the Nomads. I like the glyph on that one better. I think 1.75U shift. Does that look great? That does look great, okay. Good stuff. Oh, I can actually probably use a fruit key there. That might be kind of cute. Yeah, definitely no no numpad or arrow keys here, which is new and different. This tray in the open so you can see it. So you can see the legends on the Weirdo Milkshake are weird. So that's gonna be a fun challenge. Yeah, backslash needs to go up there. Tilde gets to land over here. We need our tab key over here. And then how many fruits are there in the number row? There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I'm new at HHKB. I don't think I'm gonna start with fruits for the number row. Remembering what symbol goes with which number is already going to be enough of a challenge. So I think we're just gonna start with the boring old normal number row here. Try and mitigate how many challenges I'm giving myself in a time here for something as utilitarian as typing. I have to, like, you know, write documents and stuff, and hunting for symbols will not be a hugely productive use of time. The Weirdos Legends are quite fun. Now that I know how good this set is in Cherry, I do kind of want to get the DSA flat profile set as well, because the legends are centered and that looks quite nice with this set. That's a T, believe it or not. That is the letter T. Oh boy. Oh boy. Quote key, which is just a single apostrophe. This is a really fun set. It almost makes the function keys look really like pedestrian by comparison. They're just, you know, I mean, they're in a rounded tip font, like the Milkshake legends are. You know, it's sans serif, obviously rounded tip, but they look very boring. They almost look a little out of place with the weirdo kit. HHKB is a good place to use this kit for the first time. Get to really embrace the weirdness of this. Yeah, I'm glad I put these on outside of the chassis, so I'm not possibly bending the plate. That would have been bad because these are new and tight-fitting caps. So I think I'm going to put a Milkshake on my function next to my right space. I think that's going to be the plan. Do I want to put a fruit? We don't have a lot of red on that side of the board. I could do a strawberry or a cherry. I kind of like the idea of using the Milkshake bottle icon. It's not the most colorful choice in the world. Let me just run through my kits here. Yeah, make sure there's nothing that makes more sense. So I could do Milkshake bottle, which is what I am leaning towards as of now. Add-on kit doesn't make sense. Could put a blank. That's boring though. Put a blank. Yeah, there's a menu key in the Nomad kit that I like. I think that was this box. Nope, that's fruits. I knew the order I put these down in. Nomad kit. Is there a colorful menu key I could use somewhere? No, not really. That's fine. No. What was I saying? I was gonna use the Milkshake bottle. Goodness gracious, half of this video is gonna be me putting on keycaps. Where's my fruit box? Fruits. Excellent. Dip into this set and use the Milkshake cup, I guess. There's a more bottle-shaped one that's like just milk, but I like the bottle, like or a cup rather, like what I would think of as like a fast food milkshake, coming with like the domed lid. Do I want yellow shifts? I do have kits. The add-on kit that has the yellow shift. Do any of the renders use the yellow shifts? Yeah, let's just put them on. Let's just put them on. Let's see what happens. I'll put on one of them and see how I like it. No, I'm gonna put on both. I'm feeling experimental today. Let's get weird with it. I think that's gonna be that one. I already don't like the way that looks, just seeing it sitting there. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the color yellow, and yellow's already backspace, so like thematically in my head, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, I don't like yellow that close together. Nope, we're sticking with white. Cool. Question answered. Glad I looked. I think on a 65% or larger, where the backspace is up here instead of right above return, that amount of yellow could look good, and then you also would have like your navigation column where you can put the fruit keys and that kind of thing. But I like that. That's pretty cool. I like those colors. Kind of pastel-y. Yeah, and actually looking at this, I think using the fruits for numbers might have been too much color anyway. I kind of like that the color is like at the edges of it, because the edges are already the interesting part of this keyboard. So it kind of calls attention to the same place that the keyboard is. I just touched the underside of the plate. Okay, back to your regularly scheduled programming. We mounted the daughter board, and now we need to flip this over. Oh, actually, Alex Otos in his build video showed an easy way to do this. You have this right here, and then you stand this up at a 90 and clip it in. Just like that. That's great. And make sure it stays in its channel. It did not. Gosh dang it. Go to your home. Okay, that might just be flex in the plate PCB assembly that I'm feeling now. It's hard to say. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do up the corner screws and then check our flex. So that's gonna be these screws and definitely the T10 drive. These are the ones where the heads are lasered, which I think is a very cool look. It is a just preposterously silly thing to spend time on, but so is this whole hobby. So we're gonna go in a cross pattern here, even out where we're applying pressure, just like putting on a CPU cooler or something like that. You just want to do screws in a cross pattern. Okay, this will be the screw that's really telling. If it's hard to lock this one down completely, I might have pinched the JST cable. No, that went together pretty slick. Let's see here. No, we've got the same amount of flex everywhere. I think we nailed the cable. That's awesome. I love that. God, this is a handsome keyboard. It's funny, it's just ever so slightly thicker with the plate in there. I'll show you that in a second. And it's amazing how much proportionally that looks better. Like it almost looked too thin before when the two halves were just touching each other without the plate in the way. It's funny how such a visually small thing can make such a big difference in the look. What I would love to do is to get a Kuro, which is Rama's shade of black. I'd love to get a Kuro plate for this, because then the fins would have kind of a void in them, and you'd have this really slick black line going all the way around the edge of the white keyboard. I think that'd look cool. I think including the silver, the beam color, by default was the move, because that looks just wicked. I love that, but I think having a black line going around there would be absolutely rad. But I think with how cheery these keycaps are, the silver was the right move. Damn, that is a good looking keyboard. Look at that, huh? You can see the, let me see if I can catch the light. There we go. You can see the plate through the fins. Oh, you can see it reflecting behind the keycaps too, because of how mirror finish that place. And it's funny, it's not really like a mirror finish like the bottom of the Mode keyboards is. It's a pretty diffuse reflection, but it's very consistent, and I can really see it through there. That's so cool. Damn, that looks nice. That's awesome. I am very, very pleased with that. I can't imagine there's anything else on the build guide. Here, I'll put the feet on. I already did that. And then the final step is, press firmly all around the keyboard to make sure you are flexing. And it's funny, I'm actually bottoming out pressing that hard, but it is a fair distance. So there we go, gang. That is the RAMA Thermal Milkshake. I'm going to say it every time. It's funny to me. Leave me alone. You watched this video. And that is that. I'm going to append some sound tests at the end. I'm going to compare, because I think it's of interest, these NovelKeys PBT keycaps. I'm going to compare them to a set of GMK. keycaps, so I'll throw on here. Probably just white on black, honestly, just for the sound test. But this is how I'm going to be using it, is with the Milkshake keycaps and learning how to use HHKB layout, because I never have before. I really like my arrow keys and my function keys. This is going to be a whole new world of stuff to figure out and learn, but I'm okay with it. I like trying new layouts. I didn't expect to get to try HHKB this early. It's funny, one of my other HHKBs I have in the pipeline is actually the RAMA Kara in Milk. So I think I'll probably be selling that one because I have this now. So yeah, I honestly may not even open the Kara, but if I like HHKB, this is a pretty hefty one, and the Kara is plastic, so it'll be much lighter. So hard to say what future Ian will do, because past Ian didn't think he was going to get to buy a RAMA Thermal, much less in Milkshake, and get to own it. I don't like the double red here. I might end up changing that to the white control key. I don't know. I gotta use it for a little while. I think the little Milkshake cup is quite cute. I can play with it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, drop a like. If you have questions, leave a comment. And if you want to see more of this, hit the subscribe button. It seems to work pretty well. And following will be sound tests comparing the NovelKeys PBT keycaps as seen here against a more standard GMK keycap set, so you can kind of hear what the sound difference is between those two keycap sets. I am now going to go and type on this and probably do very poorly. Thanks for watching.